Welcome to Brandon Hall Group's Excellence at Work podcast. You will hear from industry leaders covering innovative, cutting-edge business, learning, and HR topics that weave current market research and technology into each episode. Our Excellence at Work podcast is hosted by Brandon Hall Group's Chief Operating Officer and Principal HCM Analyst, Rachel Cook.
Thank you for tuning into Brandon Hall Group's Excellence at Work podcast, and don't forget to subscribe. I'd like to warmly welcome with us today Katya Buratovich, the Manager and Implementation Specialist from LearnUpon. Hi, Katya. How are you?
Hi, Rachel. Good, thanks. And you?
Great, thank you. And just to share with our listeners today a little bit about who you are and LearnUpon. Katya is the Manager of Implementation at LearnUpon, where she is responsible for developing a strategy and leading a team to create exceptional onboarding experiences that help customers achieve their goals. Prior to this, Katya worked in customer success, honing her product knowledge so that she could advise customers on how, when, and why to use technology to define objectives, measure progress, and identify other factors they should consider to meet learners' needs. And a little bit about LearnUpon. LearnUpon is from Fortune 1000, works with Fortune 100 companies to rise in SMBs. They are user-focused LMS, and industry-leading experience or expertise enables businesses to deliver impactful training that fuels employee, partner, and customer success. They have received 7 Brandon Hall Group Excellence Awards in 2021. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And
Definitely can't take the credit for that. But thanks on behalf of us.
Well, congratulations. And today we're going to be talking about best practices and tips for engaging customer training experience. We are also following up on a recent webinar that we conducted with your team on driving impactful business results with engaging customer training. And so I think, just to kick us off here, Katya, why don't you share with our audience today some of your expertise and tips for engaging customer training experience?
Sure, absolutely. Happy to do so. So the biggest kind of oversight that I see customers make when it comes to training their clients is really not taking a step back to think about the overall client experience of what they're doing with their training and kind of where the client's coming from when it comes to that training. So they should be taking a step back and having a look at what is that customer journey look like? What are the various types of information that those clients need to be trained on to function in their day-to-day, as well as making sure that they are in the right position with the customer to teach the customer about why they need to take on certain tasks and why those tasks are important for them, to show the value in the training that they are delivering. A lot of the time we look at customer training and we think that it's just task orientated. And there is certainly an element of tasks that need to be accomplished within customer training, but you need to provide those tasks within the context of what are we looking to achieve here in terms of our strategic goals as a company for our customers, but also what are our customers' strategic goals and how does our training fit into that as well. So with that, there's a big portion of change management that often gets overlooked in terms of making sure that you're conveying that message to the client so that they can see the value and the importance in their training. And then also looking at the correct analytics that you need to measure as a company. So how are you looking to make sure that that training and that messaging is actually landing with your clients, that they are consuming the content correctly, and that it is having the impact that you need to see. So that you can also then track and measure against your own internal success metrics, because it's not just about whether customers are taking the training. Anyone can have a high completion rate depending on how long or how important that training is, how you're passing that message along. But it's more than just completions when it comes to training. A completion doesn't mean much if there's no impact, if the customers are not learning how to do what you need them to do. If it's just surface level knowledge, then it's not delivering in the impact that you're going to need it to see. And then some other things that I recommend for our clients and for us alike is looking at your client feedback. So, how are you gathering that feedback? And also, what is the meaning of that feedback? I find a lot of the times our customers put in kind of post-training surveys at the end of the training that they're putting their clients through, but not thinking about the quality of that feedback and what they're going to do with that. So an example of that is a lot of the time clients will say, one of their survey questions could be, was your instructor well prepared? And I always like to push clients a little bit harder when it comes to the structure of that question, because what are you going to do with the feedback from, is your instructor prepared? If it's a resounding no, how are you going to tweak or change your training for that? That no could be a myriad of reasons. It could be that the instructor was poorly conveying the message. It could be that the handouts that they provided were not very effective. It could be that there wasn't the correct use of time management within that training session that didn't allow for enough social learning or conversation. So there are a whole host of reasons that could be behind, is my instructor well prepared or not? And you need to think about how you're tailoring that question to give you the feedback that you're looking for, that then is going to allow you to turn around and analyze your training and go, okay, so now how are we going to reassess this training and tweak it so that we can make the improvements that we need?
Those are all very, solid tips and advice, especially around measuring and utilizing the data that you collect
Mm,
and the feedback. It's so important. It's one thing just to collect. It's one thing if you're just looking at completions or you're going beyond completions and you're really gathering insights as to what's driving the engagement or lack of engagement, but then not to do anything with it, that is, that's just kind of discrediting what you're attempting to do. And so you
mm,
might as well not even collect the data if you're not going to have actions around the data. So that's a really good point that you made. And also around the change management piece, that's so
mm,
critical, especially when you're launching new programs and you're really trying um, to raise awareness about what this offers. So the
mm,
change management piece is really important. And then around optimizing content, we've talked a lot about, our research has shown a lot around, it's not the lack of content, right? Everyone has so much content at times, but how do you optimize it, and how do you leverage whether it's existing content, or how do you know when to create new programs, based on the content that you have.
mm. And that's why that, coming back to that learner feedback piece, especially for clients that have existing content that they're using to train their customers, that feedback piece is so important as to when is it time to review, when is it time to make changes, and looking at that data, because you should be looking at each piece of content that you are disseminating to your clients, and taking on your client's feedback is so valuable in, does this content actually work? Um, is it something that is having the impact that we need it to have? So, for example, we have a course in LearnUpon University that we're going to be, we've kind of earmarked this year to go and revise that, because we've got, the standard problem that we're talking about here. You have so much content and information that the users need to know. We have a course on how to create courses on LearnUpon, but within that course, we have the various types of content we teach our clients to work with. And that means that this course is actually quite a meaty course when it comes down to consumption, because we cover off all the various types of content that you can use. And we've got a lot of client feedback saying this is quite a lot of content to consume. It's quite heavy to consume. And so we need to actually go back and have a look at that course and go, okay, how do we break this down into more manageable content? And looking at the subject matter to say, not only do we break it down into more consumable content, but how do we break this out into subject matter chunks that make sense for our customers to consume. So that's really a big piece, and where that feedback comes in to swing as to how to do it. Also, having a look at why you choose certain pieces of content or a type of style to pass that content out over another. So, for example, here at LearnUpon, we find that videos are really helpful when it comes to explaining complex ideas or why you would choose one element over another, whereas your text and image works quite nicely for kind of navigational and setup. Because if you think about the task of physically setting something up, if your client's doing it alongside, you don't want them to have a video where they have to press play and pause every time they need to go and do the action, so that the video doesn't run too fast ahead of them. So having a text and image document that then maps that out, saying click here, then go here, then go here, is the best option, because they can have that nicely alongside when they're physically implementing it onto the system. And it's a nicer piece, it's a nicer content pairing than a video would be, where you maybe have to continue to rewind your video to pick up from the next step moving forward if maybe the video is going too fast, or alternatively getting frustrated if the video is going too slow and you're maybe picking things up a little faster than other clients might be. So picking that content type for the right messaging is also really important. When it comes to revising your content, also having a tool that can help you with easy revision of all the content that you have in the system is really helpful for you to pull a full list of all of your courses that are on the platform, how many users are on those courses, how many completions do we have on those courses. And then also, very importantly, I always love to advise our clients, use your course module report on LearnUpon. Your course module report is going to indicate specifically where your learners are within a certain space within a course. And that's also helpful, because if you can see that you've got 60% of your users that are held up 40% of the way through the course, and maybe haven't logged in from that point for another 2 weeks, it might be worthwhile going specifically to that module within the course and having a look at, why are my users getting held up here? Is it too long? Is it complicated? Are they not understanding the message? Are they failing the assignment that I've given them? Is that, do they not have enough information to progress on past this point? And that's also a really helpful indicator as to precisely where you should have a look to revise within your course as well.
That's exactly, Katya. And I think it's important as you kind of assess, not just the overall program itself, but different areas in the program. And being that I think the way that content's being created in more micro learning chunks or more, pieces, that gives you the developer or the author a little bit more, I think, flexibility in making adjustments rather than having to revamp the entire program itself, where you can make those adjustments as needed, based on feedback or based on kind of where you see learners are kind of falling off. So, and then I also, around social learning, is that something that you find that you incorporate in all of your programs? And how do you, or what do you see as kind of the value add when it comes to social learning opportunities?
Sure. The value add that I like to advise clients with social learning opportunities, and it was great because I actually had the ability to experience this firsthand a couple of weeks ago, is to not negate the benefit of social learning and learning from others to supplement what you were doing. So where I had a really great experience was our LearnUpon L&D team recently just put us through a set of kind of manager training, which absolutely was within the core courses that we had to take on our LearnUpon internal platform. Really good content. But the biggest value add that I actually found from that training was meeting with my fellow managers and discussing problem areas and issues that they were experiencing and possible solutions that we could try within those areas. And those were areas that, yes, the training touched on how to deal with a certain aspect, but from anyone who's been in management knows that each situation that arises in is so vastly different depending on who you're dealing with there, and what that looks like then in terms of how you engage with that particular issue or problem. And so having that social learning aspect was so advantageous to myself, and I think I speak for some of the managers on the team as well, for other managers to kind of have that experience, have those discussions, where it was, here's the theory behind what you're being taught, but now putting it into practice on a training is very difficult. Whereas when you have the social learning aspect and people can come with their own use cases or areas where they've been confronted with it, allows you to have much more applicable use cases for you to deal with as a team and then learn from that socially. I also like to advise customers to think about your learner-centric aspect of those social learning interactions and making sure that you're keeping it within a single kind of platform or environment to make that a holistic user experience instead of sending them outside of the platform. So we have customers, for example, that have LearnUpon as it is, but they then have, LearnUpon's linked to their website, or LearnUpon's linked to Salesforce, or LearnUpon's linked into their degreed environment. And it's important to have a look at what that user experience is to then pick, where are we going to put that social learning aspect. So for example, using LearnUpon's partnership with Degreed as an example, learners pick up all of their training from within Degreed, and then that then sends them out to LearnUpon or LinkedIn Learning or Udemy, for example. And so keeping that social learning aspect within Degreed, that's their central hub, is the important one to go with. Whereas, for example, clients who are sending customers from their website into LearnUpon, and LearnUpon is the central hub, then leveraging LearnUpon's forums for that social learning, that's the right environment for that to be in. So it's not about just giving them the option for social learning, it's picking where are you putting that social learning to make that holistic customer centric experience work well for them.
And that also works towards not just the social learning, but any type of learning is around meeting your learners where they are. So whether it's they are more likely to use a tablet or more likely to use their mobile device, you have the ability to create that experience or help connect with them where they are. And how does that work for you?
Yeah, there's so many. The mobile is absolutely vital to meeting them where they're at, just in terms of where it's beneficial or where it's convenient for them to take training, because let's be honest, most of the time taking training is not the pinnacle of what your client has to do in their day to day. So making sure that you can meet them where they are, where it's convenient for them to take that training, is so important through those mobile experiences, or having a tool that can adapt to either mobile or is mobile responsive, where if they're logging in from their iPhone, even if there's no app, that your software can adjust to that. But other areas where it's more than just the location and ease of access are giving your customers the indications of what that training is going to look like. What is its difficulty? What is its length? Do they have enough time in their day to come and take that piece of training that you're asking them to do? Is it 15 minutes long, or is this an hour long that they need to allocate that time to? So breaking it out again into the consumable chunks of content. We sometimes have clients that come through, and I know that this is across multiple LMSs and software systems, where there are system restrictions in place as to the size of content that you can load in. And what I like to remind clients of is, don't forget that those system requirements are also there in your favor. If you have a video that is exceptionally long and the system can't support a video that's 3 GB long, that's a very long piece of content for your users to sit through as well. And so breaking that out into something that is more bite size is beneficial to your clients, because it's going to give them it piecemeal, where they can allocate 15 minutes to go and watch a portion of that video, and then go back to work or doing their day-to-day tasks, and then come back to get the next piece of content from there. And then again, choosing that correct format for your clients to pair it with that mobile experience. What do you want that to be? If you know that your users are going, or your clients are going to be accessing this training on the bus or the train on the way home from a commute, what do you think that they would rather do? Do you think that they would rather read through an article? Do you think they'd rather watch a video, listen to a podcast, or a piece of an Audible clip? Those are the things that you should be thinking about, alongside what type of content that you're picking to pair it nicely with that mobile experience, if you know that they're going to be accessing that kind of on the move.
And so we talked a lot about it. We're just kind of wrapping up here with personalize the experience and meeting them where they are, and creating lots of different mediums for them to access and to be able to engage, and understanding your audience and how to utilize the data that you collect and create some actions and communications around it. So really great advice that you've shared today. And before we wrap up, is there anything that that you'd like, any lasting advice, anything that you want to share, what LearnUpon is focused on throughout the remaining part of 2022?
Yeah, so our focus in terms of our customer training this year, we released, we redid our client university last year around November. So we're coming up on time to revise now. We're about 6 months, over 6 months away from that. So it's time for us to start going in, and I'm working with a team of implementation specialist consultants here at LearnUpon, where we're going to go and review all of those trainings, look at our client feedback, pull some of those reports that I had mentioned around, course completions, course module reports, to see how each of those trainings are doing, and if we need to go in and reassess those. So one of my pieces of advice to anyone who's doing client training is, it's always an iterative process. I think that we lure ourselves into a false sense of security, where we develop the client training and we go, this is it, this is the best customer training ever that anyone's going to see, and it's going to be perfect for the next 5 years. That is not the case. We do need to continue to iterate, build, consume that feedback and make adjustments, because the environments and the last 2 years have shown us better than ever that the conditions in our environments are continually changing. And so one piece of delivery isn't always going to be applicable for the next 5 years. You need to continue to train and adjust on that. So that's kind of our big overhaul that we're planning for the next 4 months ahead of us. We've got new product developments coming out. So with those new product developments, we have to now build out that new training. So that's really starting from scratch again and looking at, okay, so now we have this new feature functionality, again, picking the right type of content, building out that training from start to finish, and making sure that we're delivering it to meet our clients where they are. And then the next piece that we are focusing on for this year is, for the most part, we've had quite a standard implementation that we take our customers through across the various plans that they have on LearnUpon. And we have found that we do not need the same resourcing across each of those plans within LearnUpon. So the team and I are going to be looking at now, how do we segment our training per plan for our clients to provide the correct resourcing that our customers need and the correct support, completely tailored towards their plans that they're on and the features that they're going to be using. We're part of the way done with that work, and hopefully we'll have that fully fledged by the end of the year.
Exciting stuff. Lots of great things to come, and lots of hard work headed your way, your team's way. So best wishes to a very successful next part of our year here. So we're about halfway through the year, if you can only imagine. It sounds like feels like we just kicked off the year, but time is certainly going fast. So, and it sounds like you're making the best of every moment of it.
Thanks, Rachel.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Katya.
Thank you.